many different acting styles. The mainstream media discusses method acting often, but its opposite is just as popular with performers. Today's guest, Robyn Kay Pilarski, can help us understand the Meisner technique. Robyn, welcome to the spotlight.
Bobby, thank you for having me.
Look, full disclosure, world, I've studied with Robyn for 11 years. In my
Yeah.
view, she's the best acting teacher, maybe in the whole world, certainly in Toronto. But her Meisner class has really changed my life and the lives of many. But let's talk about what is Meisner, because nobody seems to know if you're not actually practicing. So let's start at the beginning. What is the
Okay.
Meisner technique?
Okay. Well, Meisner technique is basically a focus and listening exercise where you focus 100% on another human being and you just start to listen and repeat what you hear. It's about getting you out of your head. You're not thinking about what you're going to say next. You're just literally repeating what you hear. It's amazing for really strengthening your listening so that your ears open up to a new level where you hear somebody so clearly how things are coming out of their mouth that it starts to affect your whole body and your whole instrument. From there, the goal is to really express yourself truthfully and fully,
Well, look,
so you can.
yes.
Mhm.
I've
Yeah.
experienced it and observed it. I mean, it's amazing, and it's like it requires a lot of discipline, right? So, how did you actually
Yeah.
learn this technique?
Great question. So I studied in New York City in a small boutique theater, like a studio that I kind of modeled mine after. You need to get obsessed with the work, and that's what happened. I fell in love with Matthew Corazine, went to his studio, started going twice a week, then it turned into like 4 times a week, and I was just obsessed with the work, and I went to class as much as I possibly could. And the more I went, the more you learn and the more seeds you plant and the more you really start to grow as a human being and you really learn what's fun about acting.
It's interesting because first of all, I've seen people turn to fantastic actors in your class, sometimes in a short few months, sometimes in a couple of years. But it's the progress is undeniable. But I've also seen lives change, like people's personalities change. Like why is this technique so powerful?
Yeah, people transform. Meisner technique gives you the opportunity to express what you have been living with, to really be yourself. People think acting is becoming somebody else, and it's not. It's really tapping into what you already are, who you already are. And I don't mean your personality, who you've been being so that you can guarantee yourself love in life. We all become different personalities. You're the good girl or the good boy, or you become the rebel, or you become the funny kid, so that you'll be loved and you'll feel safe. But in Meisner, you really give up trying to be interesting or going for the goal of being liked, and you give that up and you start to really discover, who you really are. What things really mean to you, where things really live in you. And it's addicting, taking off the mask and allowing yourself to be, who you were created to be.
Like we only have a minute left, and obviously, I mean, I've studied there 11 years with you. We can't get it all down
A lot.
in a minute, right? But like, is it about the walls? Is it like walls coming down, your truth comes out? Like, what is it?
Yeah, it's about giving up the need for validation, breaking through walls. And to be honest, when you use your instrument fully and you can scream and listen at the same time, when you start to really step into what's actually happening in the moment, rather than what our brains are making it mean, there's a freedom. There's a freedom, and you get into that flow of life, that people go to yoga for years to get to.
All right, I'm going to go to commercial. The next segment is all about acting because obviously it's a very powerful craft technique. We've got Robyn Kay Pilarski on the spotlight. Welcome back to the spotlight. I'm here with Robyn Kay Pilarski. Okay, Robyn. Look, Meisner is a very powerful technique, as I know firsthand in your amazing classes. Sometimes people are actors, sometimes they're not. But let's focus on actors specifically for this segment. So for the actor who's they're looking to, I don't know, get a break or get a role or be better at their craft. How exactly does Meisner training help actors?
Good question. So what it does is it starts to give you a really, number one, an intimate knowledge of your own instrument so that you know what you're capable of. I don't think enough actors who are focused on different techniques really know what they can do or how far they can go, what they're really capable of. Um, it allows you to find your strength and vulnerability, to start to take risks, start to go outside of, your basic training or who you've been being. Kind of breaks you out of patterns, which is really exciting.
Oh yeah, no, and I've definitely seen it. Okay, what about with like regard to text analysis? Like, how does it work with text analysis? Is it more like subtext? They work together. What's that relationship like?
It's interesting because you can do text analysis, till the cows come home, whatever, till your head falls off. But the more you analyze the text, you're kind of stuck in what's happening in the scene. If you don't know how you really feel about this situation, if you don't know where this lands in you, then you're just going to be doing your idea of what all that text means. So text analysis is really important, but so is equally important is really knowing your own instrument, is really practicing screaming, crying, playing all of your emotions, seeing how angry you can really get truthfully, and where joy lives in you, where gratitude lives in you. And once you are developed as an actor, you can put any text on top of that, and it will come out from where it needs to come out. So it's a great, these two things hand in hand, text analysis with Meisner training to really develop your own instrument, I think is vital if you
It's
want great acting.
it's interesting. When I got this show, I did a couple tech shows. You know that I did a crypto show. I did a tech show. This is like more entertainment. I throw some tech in, but it gave me an opportunity to do things like this episode, like craft, right? Like artistic disciplines. This is the first one I've done. I want to do more. It's interesting if you think about it, right? Because it's also like method actors and Meisner actors, some of them hate each other, right? Because it's like very, very different, right? There's some people like what you just said, they would find very controversial because they work so hard and they study for years to imagine the coffee they had this morning, and that means this and this line. And so, like, what would you say to them where you're teaching a very powerful acting technique that's essentially the opposite of everything they know?
Right. Even Meisner and Stanislavski hated each other,
Right,
like notoriously.
right.
Stella Adler hated all of them, you know?
Hmm.
Um, you what I would say to them is, first of all, something different is going to work for every different actor. Do what really works for you. And at the same time, like, you got to have a lot of different things to go on. You got to have a lot of stuff in your toolbox, and you will reach, a certain point in your training, whether you're in method or in Meisner or anywhere you go, where you need something new, you need something different. You need to attack acting. If you're going to become an actor, you need to attack it from all angles, which is what I really feel. So a little bit of method and a lot of Meisner, but yeah, being open to different things, because you'll have a role where what you use always works, and then you've got to tap into something new for a completely different role. You got to be ready for everything.
Yeah, look, I think that's right. We only have 30 seconds to the break, but I mean, what would you say to those actors who, like maybe they only have one way of working, they go on set and then somebody wants them to work in an entirely new way?
Well, chances are a lot of actors freak out
Mm.
when it can't be the way they want. That's dangerous, you know? So a big thing in Meisner, and people have, you've seen it, people have anxiety attacks all the time,
Right.
and we learn how to take them through anxiety attacks. We cure, like literally cure somebody's anxiety.
Let me go to commercial, but it's really interesting what you just said. I've got Robyn Kay Pilarski for two more segments on the spotlight. Welcome back to the spotlight. I'm here with Robyn Kay Pilarski. Okay, Robyn, let's talk about non-actors because it's been interesting to be in your class for so long to learn so much from you. But I would say, in my view, maybe half of the people, which is very surprised me over the last 11 years, have not been actors at all, and some of them have actually made the most progress. Right. So, what is this like? Why are all of these non-actors studying with you?
Great question. I mean, it's because people are hungry for truth, I think. I think any person is hungry for, getting to the truth of themselves and having freedom to be themselves. We live in a society that's based on rules, what you're allowed to be. And so many people grow up, you know, pleasing other people, pleasing their parents, becoming a certain person, you know, so that they can make people happy around them. And to really find happiness in life, you've got to be free to be that person that you have the potential to become. I think so many people are stuck in these careers that they started when they were 20 and they realize there's more to life, but they don't know what. Meisner gives you an opportunity to really find your voice, to go beyond, anything you've ever done before, as a human within your human conditioning.
Mm.
So, just using your voice, just screaming sometimes, there's biological things that happen in your body. Um, to wake up to, what you really have to offer in life. And when you start doing that, there's a freedom that comes with it that you don't need to use it in acting to enjoy that process. Doing difficult things is something we all need to do.
See, for me, I think what it does is it highlights the vital need for people to understand their emotions. But I don't know. I think people are a bit irresponsible in society. They just, it's very complex. Your work is so complex. I don't think people can just naturally learn this stuff unless they have a teacher like you, right? Like someone to guide them through. So to me, it seems like, emotions are something that really everyone should be studying. Like, do you think that's right?
A 1,000%. Yeah, everybody should be studying some kind of acting class, and you really should go deep into your emotions. A lot of people will go through their entire lives and never do it. But it's not because they shouldn't do it, it's because so many people are scared of what they're gonna discover. They're
Mm.
scared of themselves. They're scared of the monsters that they feel they might be deep down inside. You need a strong coach who has been through it. I had so much anxiety growing up. I hated myself in so many ways growing up. And through Meisner, I really learned to accept myself in, so many different ways and find pride in myself, and find my purpose in life. So you need someone who has been through that process. Um, and it's bumpy and it's painful, but it's the most rewarding thing you're ever gonna do.
Why do you think so many people in society are so disconnected from their emotions?
Oh my gosh, because they're terrifying.
Mm.
People are scared. I think feeling your emotions, or I had a group of teens once, and the hardest thing for them to say or to admit to was, "Oh, you hurt my feelings," that their
Mm.
feelings were hurt.
Mhm.
It's terrifying. The judgment of other people is terrifying, and now we're so disconnected because of social media, um, that it's harder to get somebody to want to do something that's uncomfortable.
Mm.
So, it's a scary, scary thing
And what
to admit
about,
how you're feeling.
look, we only have 45 seconds for the break, but it just seems like the more we rely on technology, we're becoming even more disconnected from our emotions.
Completely, because it makes everything so easy.
Mm.
You get that feeling of connection from scrolling your phone. You get easy answers from ChatGPT. You get a lot of satisfaction from some things, but it's not real. So it's becoming harder and harder, for sure. And the more, I think there was a documentary about this like 10 years ago about connection, about how the more connected we are online, the more lonely we are.
It's
Um,
powerful. I wish we had 95 hours, but instead we have Robyn Pilarski for one more segment on the spotlight. Welcome back to the spotlight. I'm here with Robyn Kay Pilarski. Okay, Robyn, let's promote, the studio. If people want to study with you, how do they do it?
you can email me, robynkstudio at gmail.com, or go to robynkstudio.com and check me out and contact me. And right now I'm just doing Sunday evenings, 5 to 8 drop-ins. Sundays are for dropping in. But in the fall, I will have a full schedule, and we've got some weekend workshops coming up, and yeah, reach out.
Okay, so we were talking about AI, well, tech, but AI is really, the main thrust of tech right now. So let me ask you a question. Do you think Meisner training will become more important in the age of AI?
Yes. I think it's going to be vital for people's mental health in the age of AI. I think also, going back to what I said about doing difficult things, in order to really grow and transform in life, and if you believe that life is about growth, which is what I believe it is, you start off as a tiny baby and your whole job is to grow and to keep growing. Um, it's important to put yourself in a position where you can start living in that realm of what you didn't know. So you start to ask new questions that you wouldn't have asked in the first place. And that's what Meisner does for you. It puts you in a different spot where all of a sudden feel something different, and you're not sure why and you're not sure what it is, but you have a whole new set of questions that you can ask. The more AI, takes over, and the more infused we get with social media and tech, the less likely we are to ask new questions, or just do things that are uncomfortable. I think it's vital. I think it's vital for our existence as humans, and for our enjoyment of being alive. Really appreciating that human condition and what we were meant to be,
It's,
on
it,
Earth, rather
it's
than just waiting for the aliens to come and save us. Or
which they will probably fairly soon.
right.
It's interesting. I've heard you talk about mental health days, and we're almost exactly the same age, right? But it's interesting because I think there's a real difference between, we're like Gen X, and Gen Z and Alpha. There's all these new cohorts coming, and I don't want to be judgmental, but it seems like they're not equipped to handle some of the emotional challenges. And then you take technology, it just seems to make it so much worse because you don't have to face your emotions, but they're still there. Is this fair?
Yes, it's very fair, but that what they have been given is this mental health speak, the vernacular of therapy talk.
Mm,
So they think they're describing their emotions, but they're really, kind of describing how, society's standards, or this, a regressive power structure, or power structures in the world, how they're making it impossible for them to find peace.
mm,
So So they live in a place where they start to blame everything outside um, of themselves instead of taking responsibility, radical responsibility for everything in their lives. That's a big shift for that younger generation. And there's all this. What I love too on social media is the toxic positivity.
Mm.
Everyone's like blessed and like hashtag blessed and living your best life. It's not real mental health, and it puts a lot of pressure, especially on that younger generation, to actually be happy all the time. And what we're getting is a lot of teenagers. I know I have a lot of teenagers in my life, and they all lie in bed a lot and they scroll on their phones a lot.
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, acting classes, getting to know yourself, expressing, um, realizing that it doesn't have to be great all the time. You know, that's one thing that I really had to learn, when I studied Meisner.
You
It
know,
was okay to cry.
Robyn, I got to end the show. We got to get you in for 98 more hours, but you are awesome, and you're a great teacher and an excellent guest. So thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me, Bobby. I really appreciate it.
The Meisner technique is very powerful for both performers and average citizens alike, and it's really something I think should be studied in schools. We'll see you next time on the Spotlight.